viewers, I'm Dr. Jackson Wajau, Executive Director at Harmony Consultant and a University Professor in the School of Business. Today I'm introducing a topic in microeconomics. And before I continue, I wish to remind you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And also remember to turn the notification bell so that you'll be notified anytime I upload a new video. Thank you for watching. In today's topic, we are going to discuss the non-price determinants of demand. The non-price determinants of demand. Non-price determinants of demand refers to the factors other than the current price that can potentially influence the demand of a service or product and hence result in a shift in its demand curve. In other words, these factors are very crucial economically as they can impact the demand for a service or product. In other words, these factors are very crucial economically as they can impact the demand for a service. In other words, these factors are very crucial economically as they can impact the demand for a service or product irrespective of its current price. The non-price determinants of demand include the following. Number 1, income. Number 2, future price expectation. Number 3, price of substitute goods. Number 4, price of complementary goods. Number 5, changes in taste and preferences. Number 6, changes in number of consumers. Number 7, change in wealth distribution. Number 8, economic conditions. Number 9, advertising. Number 10, availability of credit. Let's start with income. Income is an important factor in explaining consumers' ability to pay. By definition, demand arises when the will is backed by the ability to buy. In other words, consumers not only want goods, but they also have the money to buy them. And as consumers' income increase, they will have dollars or shilling to spend on goods. In most cases, increased income will drive more demand, shifting the curve to the right. Conversely, when income falls, there are fewer dollars to spend, and as a result, demand falls, shifting the demand curve to the left. In other words, the demand for such goods is positively correlated with the consumer income, and in microeconomics, we call them normal goods. But we have other goods we refer to as luxury goods and necessities. For luxury goods, changes in income result in higher percentage change in their demand. So for example, consumers' income rise by 5%, their demand may increase by more than 5%. For necessities, changes in their demand are less sensitive to changes in income. Thus, when income changes, their demand changes at a lower percentage because, of course, they are necessities. You can't live without them. For example, if income increases by 5%, their demand increases by less than 5%. The next item is future price expectation. If consumers expect the price of goods to increase in the near future, then the demand of certain products will increase at present. This usually happens before the annual budget when consumers expect the price of certain goods to increase. And this is especially possible because governments are fond of increasing what we refer to as sin tax. And they affect especially two products, that is beer and cigarette. And we have seen cases whereby especially the retailers or even distributors buy these goods in bulk just before the budget, so that in case there is increase in tax on these two products, which is very common, they have enough stock and they can make a bit of profit. The other factor is the price of substitute goods, that is changes in price of substitute commodities. Demand of any commodity may change due to change in price of any substitute commodity. For example, if the price of coffee rises, demand for tea may increase. The other factor is the price of complementary goods. Price of complementary goods. When two goods are complements, they experience joint demand. The demand of one good is linked to the demand for another good. Therefore, if higher quantity is demanded of one good, a higher quantity will also be demanded of the other, and vice versa. An example is that sometimes a toothbrush is packaged free with toothpaste. The toothbrush is a complement to the toothpaste. The cost of producing toothbrush may be higher than toothpaste, but its sales depends on the demand of the toothpaste. Its sales depends on the demand of the toothpaste. Number 5 is the changes in taste and preferences. Due to change in taste and fashion preferences, demand may increase or decrease. Number 6 is changes in the number of consumers or change in population. When population and number of consumers increase, demand for goods and services rises and vice versa. And I'm sure that you have seen many countries, they have formed what they call trading blocs, like East African Community or East African Union, African Union, European Union. It is because they want to have the number of consumers going up, because they know that changes in number of consumers will also change the demand for goods and services. The other factor is change in the wealth distribution. When wealth is more equally distributed, the demand for goods and services will rise. And this is common because when we have wealth concentrated on certain part of the country or with fewer members of the public, most of them may opt to save in the banks, while others are not able to even purchase or acquire necessities. The other factor is economic conditions. When there is economic prosperity in the country, demand will be greater, and during deflation, demand will be smaller or decrease. The other factor is advertising. Advertising campaign, a successful advertising campaign for certain goods or commodities will increase demand for it or for those commodities. And that, of course, means that demand for those goods will also go up. And finally is the availability of credit. If higher purchase or loan facilities are easily and cheaply available, the demand for goods and services will rise. And this, of course, is very common in some countries like Kenya, where Safaricom have introduced what we refer to as Fuliza, or an overdraft facility. And this, of course, makes people to purchase items that they could not afford, especially when they need them. They can get that overdraft and pay later, which is commonly referred to in Kenya as Fuliza. The next item that I want us to discuss is what we refer to as abnormal demand curves. We have discussed about the demand curves moves from left to right downward. That is, the demand curves have a negative slope. In some exceptional cases, the demand curve moves from left to right upward, meaning they have a positive slope. It means when price rises, demand decreases, and vice versa. The causes of abnormal demand curves include future prices. If it is expected that in future prices will rise rapidly, then even at higher prices today, more will be demanded and vice versa. The other factor that causes abnormal demand curves is given goods. Sir Robert Given is the name of the economist who came up with this term. He described some goods which are purchased in smaller quantities at lower prices. For example, poor people buy inferior quality goods like maize instead of superior quality goods like rice. Of course, I have put quotes in quotes because what is superior to you may be inferior to another person. If the price of that commodity then goes down, people will prefer to buy some superior goods according to their judgment. And this kind of inferior goods are mostly referred to as given goods. The other topic I want us to discuss today is interrelated demands. Sometimes demand for one commodity is affected by changes in demand for other commodities. And we have various forms of interrelated demand as follows. Number 1, joint demand. Number 2, competitive demand. Number 3, composite demand. And number 4, derived demand. When it comes to joint demand, some goods are demanded jointly. These goods are needed to satisfy any particular want. If two or more goods are demanded together, then these have joint or complementary demand. The main examples of joint demand are motor car and petrol, as they are demanded jointly. tea leaves and sugar plus milk are demanded jointly to make tea. A student needs books and stationery jointly. The other interrelated demand is, we call them competitive demand. Some goods are substitute of one another. The demand for such good is known as competitive demand. For example, tea and coffee are substitute of each other. In this case, the increase in demand for tea will result in the decrease for coffee and vice versa. The other interrelated demand is on composite demand. It's what we refer to as composite demand. Some goods are used for different purposes. The total demand for such goods for all uses is known as composite demand. Some goods are used for different purposes, and the total demand for such goods for all uses is known as composite demand. For example, steel is used to manufacture motor cars, machines, and buildings. The total demand for steel for these purposes, the total demand for steel for all these purposes is composite demand. Number 4, we have derived demand. When goods are demanded by the consumers for satisfying their wants, then these goods have direct demand. Goods are demanded by consumers for satisfying their wants, then these have direct demand. For example, demand for food and clothing. Some goods are demanded in order to produce some other goods. The demand for such good is known as derived demand. Some goods are demanded in order to produce some other goods, and the demand for such good is known as derived demand. For example, cotton is required to produce cloth. If demand for cloth is greater, then more cotton will be demanded and vice versa. In this case, the demand for cotton is derived demand. The other topic that I want us to discuss is what we refer to as elasticity of demand. Elasticity of demand. And we are going to discuss this topic in my next video. Thank you for watching, and I would remind you, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and remember to turn the notification bell. Please remember to turn the notification bell so that you will be updated or notified. You'll be notified whenever I upload more related videos. In my next video, I'm going to discuss elasticity of demand. Thank you for watching.